Alright, what's up everyone? This is Ryan here, the Crypto Grinder, and today we'll be starting off our episode with a little story, which is the story of the little fish in the little pond. Now, when we first started this space, I kind of took it as a little pond because all of us started off as fishers, right? We all were very excited about the space, all wanting to form communities and come together because we believe in the decentralization, we believe in P2P networks, and we obviously believe in just building a community of sharing and caring. That was how it all started out on the Bitcoin network. Now, as the pond grew in size, as we all know, we kind of started to have more freedom. We noticed different species of fishes starting to come in, aka the larger fishes or the whales, right? But what happened was eventually we noticed that as the market started, or the tide started to drain out because the weather was too hot, the water started to drop, the water level started to drop. A lot of the fishes, there were too many fishes in that little pond. Okay, so the bigger fishes, or at least different species that were a little bit more adaptable, would be able to move onto land, or they would have the strength to jump to another stream or to a bigger pond or a bigger river, right? So the balance, like the rest, everyone is all stuck. We're all trying to see whether or not we can survive. People are getting a little bit angsty. So these little fishes, as you can see, the small little fishes there, they are trying their best to stay alive. So you see, this is what's been happening in this space. So I feel that right now we're having the water level start to drop. Okay, the water levels are starting to drop. That is why our market cap currently now is around lesser than 250 billion. Right? But does it mean that we are kind of going to be drying out, and naturally we're going to have lesser and lesser of that money, right? Because although you see altcoins benefiting from different angles, right? Different altcoins are benefiting, but don't forget, the pool of the water is still the same. Okay, the water is just still moving around within the pond. Okay, no one is really benefiting greatly from it. It's just that if you happen to be there, great. But if there's no new water or fresh water coming into the pond, everybody drowns, guys. Okay, so that being said, I think we have to be a little bit more adaptable. We have to be evolved as investors, or as a species in this case, so that we don't die like the rest of the smaller fish. And how do you do that? Obviously, you have to start educating yourself, being smarter as an investor to sift out what works and what doesn't work, right? So we're all here in this same little pond. Eventually, I do believe that we're gonna see a great adoption. We're gonna see more money come back into the space, because right now there is definitely value. Okay, there's definitely value. We have already corrected anywhere from 60, 70 to 80% for certain projects, or certain listed projects, smart contract platforms, logistics, supply chain management, whatever platform that you believe that would work out for the blockchain space has corrected significantly. So now, I wanted to go to the BTC charts first, right, which I will do right now, and hopefully we can deduce that right now there is that kind of value for us to re-enter into the markets. So very quickly now, okay, so as we all know, we are still continuously correcting aggressively. We had a small bump up to the 7,400, above 7,400, but we couldn't sustain that level, and then we had a heavy correction back down. So let me just shift to the one day, right? Let's look at 1 day these days. Let's not look too much into the hourly or the lesser than the hourly, because we're gonna be in this bear market a while. Okay, I've already mentioned that this bear market is now still very, we're gonna be here a while, guys. Okay, I think based on the poll, people would love for it to be 3 months. I don't think it's gonna be 3 months. Personally, I feel it's anywhere from 6 to 12 months. We are gonna be struggling a little bit like the fishes in the pond. But bear in mind, if you kind of watched my video yesterday, my short little video yesterday, I did mention that we need to take a longer term perspective, because right now the infrastructure is still not as scalable as we think it is. In fact, it's a very primitive infrastructure. We are actually reworking everything. Not everything in this space needs to be done in blockchain. In fact, you can function just as well. You can raise money. You can raise money outside of the blockchain ICO space. You don't have to blockchain everything. The only reason why why certain projects want to blockchain is that they want to be able to allow full financial inclusion. That meaning that, I guess when you look at it from an ICO perspective, you want the public to participate, you want the public to benefit. But because of this rise in ICOs, a lot of scams have also occurred. And this in turn has caused Ethereum, which is probably the next chart that I want to talk about, which has caused Ethereum to be sold down greatly. We all know that Ethereum is not living up to its full expectation of what everyone believed that it could do, right? It says that it could be more scalable, blah, blah, blah. It could function faster, transact faster, more secure. That is entirely not true. So Vitalik even knows this. I think they're all working on it. Everybody wants to make sure that their platform is going to be the top kahuna, or at least functions properly. But unfortunately, that is not the case. Right now, only the Bitcoin network has kind of lived up to whatever it says. It is secure. It is not that fast, all right? It is slow in terms of transactions and everything. But of late, I think it's getting a little bit faster. Now, is it completely decentralized? I think it's questionable. Personally, I don't think so, because initially China was owning China was basically the main miners of the Bitcoin. Right? They were mining the Bitcoins. In fact, they were the ones that contributed the largest part of the hashing power. Right now, I don't think so. I think it's a little bit more separated, but I would assume that the bigger players are still in the game. It's just that they're located elsewhere around the world. So, you're having all this battle between developers and business people, the community and the decentralization, and no one is having a hit, right? And when you have a hit, there is more or less a direction. But when you have a hit, you also have centralization. So it's like a chicken and egg. So right now, personally, what I feel that we can do as a community is focus on being part of the space as conservatively as possible, because we're here for the long run. We're not here for the short run. Okay, and I think in terms of Bitcoin is still the way to go. But is Bitcoin favorable? As you can see from the chart, it is continuing to drop. All right, to me, I think it's still bearish. It may drop further to anywhere from 6,000 to even 5,000. Right, the market cap may drop further, guys, maybe to 200B. It is pretty sad, because when you look at all these charts, especially, they're all reversals, guys. You look at this is a double top, right? So it's a double top, so it's a reversal, right? It shows kind of no signs of going anywhere upwards. But for me as an investor, not as a trader, I take a very long-term stance on everything. I detach myself away from the US dollars or the fiat or whatever you call it, because to me, if you want to be part of this space, in the first place, you had to be kind of obviously financially prepared, and you would have the mentality that you do not want to just throw your money all in. A lot of people have lost a lot of money because they bought around the 14,000. This was basically when there was a consolidation. They thought, oh, maybe there will be a sharp rise and then a double top. Nope, it didn't happen. Boom, it got sold down. Initially, when we sold down heavily, this was kind of the period where we accumulated again. We managed to kind of kick back up to the 11K, got sold down again. It will happen over and over and over again. So right now, what are we looking at? Probably, well, we may have a reversal. So this is like a shoulder, and then this is looks like a head forming, but being that there has this large candle being sold down, we are gonna see more downside, right? The volume is just crazy. It is not as great as previous times. But I think more often than not, we're going to see more downside. Now, Ethereum, let's go to Ethereum charts. So Ethereum charts, I would say same old. It is going to continue to go down probably to the $300 mark. We're looking at really back to the consolidation part of the 289, which is not very far away, honestly speaking. So 300 would be the point where you can consider kind of reaccumulating it. Not as aggressively, but same thing, take a very long-term stance. We're looking at DCA strategies or dollar cost averaging strategies that are going to be anywhere from 12 months to even 1 year. Okay, you gotta think that way, guys, right? Rocketing and mooning, look, I know that there are a lot of things happening in the altcoin space. I'm very, very aware, okay? But like I said, back to the story of the little fish in the little pond. If you don't have any new money coming in, you're not gonna see a new high. If you want to see a new high, you need to see BTC increase first. If BTC doesn't start going up, everyone else is still just making that magical Satoshi that has very, very little value or value that is consistently dropping. So if you want to be part of that space, you must be thinking, wow, right, so how do I actually approach this? Do I approach this from a Satoshi point of view, or do I approach this as a US dollar point of view? What should I do, Ryan? I think the most important thing is approach it from a Satoshi point of view. Because if you want to try to balance both sides, it is going to be extremely challenging, because firstly, you may be winning on an altcoin trade. The next thing you know, you took profit, but your BTC is falling. So to keep it simple for everybody, you need to segregate into two things. Firstly, you want to either be trading, okay, you can do both strategies, okay? One, if you want to believe in building in the fiat space, then you build in the fiat space. That meaning that BTC US dollar trades, which honestly is not the best, right? Because there's not much upside usually at this point, it's more downside. But then there's the solution of shorting. Now shorting, you can do a 1x to even a 100x. But a lot of people, my warning to you guys, a lot have people who do not know how to short the market properly or with the right techniques have lost all their money, like almost overnight. Because don't forget, there's a large part of manipulation at play. If, for example, whether or not exchanges are in on it, let's just assume that they are not, okay? There are people who are here to take advantage of this market. So whenever they see, for example, a lot of shorts building up, okay, they can always make sure they buy up and make sure that all these shorts are all liquidated. That is one way for the exchanges to make money as well, right? So the next thing is you want to be able to be able to sleep well at night. And that is why I never recommend any kind of derivative product. At the moment, I'm more of someone who is long-term in the space, and I still believe we're still early adopters whether you like it or not. Yeah, sure, we may not, oh man, this is not the right chart. We may not be, let me give you a longer term chart like a Gemini chart. Okay, so we may not be back in the 300 days or whatnot. You know, we are definitely already past that, okay? But bear in mind, if we are able to kind of look at this chart, guys. Okay, look at how much it has corrected. Okay, this is the kind of volatility that we will have to experience over and over and over again until we have solid development, right? When we have solid development, we're going to see the speculative value start to drop. Everything starts to correct. You see, this was all hype. Okay, any chart that you look at leading up to the end of December is like that. Okay, right now the market is correcting itself. It's starting to realize this space is still too early. So early adopters like us, okay, or early innovative investors like us, we're gonna have a very challenging time navigating this space. Okay, so try to start educating yourself on what you want to do. Make sure that you think of what kind of risk management or investment amount of allocation that you want to put into this market. Because if you fail to understand this part, you will always be losing money. And that is why I always see people coming in losing money over and over again, because they were not prepared. They just wanted to step in, even though the market has corrected 60-70%. Don't forget that liquidity is also still your friend. If you need this amount of money to pay the bills, you know, for whatever, okay, basically you just need it to pay the bills. You have a timeline that is way too short for this market. My advice, don't even bother to invest. I'd rather you sit on the fence, do nothing, you know, let other people make the money, because you need the money. Just being honest, just being direct, right? But the moment you start segregating, for example, every month when my pay comes in, I'm going to dedicate this X amount that I do not give a shit about, and I'm going to just leave it there for an X amount of time. And that X amount of time must be in line with this market, right? So if I already mentioned 6 to 12 months for whatever that you have invested in to do something, you give yourself 6 to 12 months. if you go and join any other group, okay, which is a pump group, which has been happening, right? Because let's look at Verge. Okay, I think Verge is a very, very good example of a pump. Okay, let's look at Verge. Let's look at Verge on Binance. Then Binance seems to be, see, look at that. So we have this pump that occurred, right, leading up to it. These are accumulation, boom. Then after you have the sell down. So you're gonna see this kind of thing happen. But back to the story, we are still a small, we are still in a small pond, guys. Okay, initially we thought that we were gonna grow into a river, or at least expand into a river. That's when we hit the 800 billion market cap. But unfortunately, the river kind of collapsed. I mean, the foundation kind of collapsed on us, and we lost a good chunk of our market cap from 800B, and where we are now is at what, below 250 billion? Yeah. So this is going to happen. You're gonna see, we are gonna experience this cycle over and over again. In fact, I'm glad that it popped. I'm glad that it popped because I noticed that my chat is now more of the solid investors, the solid traders, not so much of the people coming in and, you know, all hype and all. I noticed that it's died down. I like it. In fact, I like it because I like it for the fact that we're having the more intellectual investors stepping in in the space. We're also noticing that we have the more professional traders stepping in and educating the community. This is what we like, and that is why if you want to be in this space, guys, think big, right? If you want to be one of the survivors, or at least going to be one of the ones that are going to make the most money in this space, make sure that you stay invested or you start getting good in your trading. All right, so with that being said, thank you so much for watching, guys, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And we have a new Telegram chat which is called CG Market Watch for those who just love to catch up on news. We do provide some free signals or setups in there. We give lots of news articles for you to read through and brisk through, especially if you're busy during your day. So don't forget to click on the notification button, and see you in the next stream. See ya!